Good evening. I'm cold and I am shamed, lying naked on the floor. We begin tonight with breaking news surrounding the ongoing terror hostage situation that broke earlier today. As all of you who called to complain earlier about the Price is Right being interrupted know, a large organization of Islamic extremists have declared a fatwa on David Foster Wallace's postmodern pity party, Infinite Jest. The book, which was published in 1996, took them years of apparent deciphering. However, in a video statement released today, they said, quote, "We have finished this deplorable book, and we can now say with certainty that we have a completely correct and justifiable interpretation of it." The statement concludes with the speaker noting that the book is explicitly offensive to all Muslims, particularly during the scene when one character says something sort of profound or whatever. Hours after this was released, retaliation against the U.S. began. We go now to Phoenix Cuomo near Staten Island with more disturbing developments. What have you got for us, Phoenix?
That's right. I'm standing here near Staten Island where just hours ago a group of Islamic terrorists flew helicopters above the Statue of Liberty and lifted it off to a nearby undisclosed location where it is currently being held hostage. We caught up with one man earlier who claims to have witnessed the event in its entirety. Sir, please tell us everything that you saw happen today.
Well, I didn't really see anything. You just kind of forced yourself on me.
Are you concerned for the statue's safety now that it's in the hands of Muslims?
Well, of course, but...
Are you aware of the Islamic tradition of urinating in tissue boxes? What about the Islamic threat to replace all food and vending machines with air supply albums?
What?
Did you hear about the Muslim man who was arrested last week after taping a cat to his face because he couldn't grow a beard?
A cat?
Would you find me attractive even in college?
What? No.
Let me put it this way. Do you support ISIS?
No, of course not.
And do you know that all ISIS members are Muslims?
Well, I guess.
And are you aware, good sir, that Muslims are responsible for the assassination of Julia Child by way of poisoning her elephant meat?
Oh my god.
Do you support the war against Islam?
Well, I guess.
Oh, just let it go, you frothing animal, you. That's right, America. It's time to take your country back. Starting tonight, all of the American news agencies will begin deploying their most valiant troops right to the front lines of what we're calling the War on Terror 2, Ernest Goes to War. We'll also begin showing you continuous coverage of the front lines and the heat of the action tonight, right from the battlefield. So remember, if you see any Muslims in your area, be sure to contact the Channel 10 tip line so we can deploy the necessary troops. Remember, folks, they're not humans, they're faceless monstrosities and enemies of your freedom, motivated solely by making you cross to the other side of the street when they're about to pass by you on the sidewalk. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go do some rockin' in the free world. Back to you in the studio.
Today, Sheriff David Clark presented the Sheriff Department's prestigious Cowboy Curtis Seal of Approval Award to a Milwaukee infant who killed a would-be robber several months ago. The infant, who heeded the sheriff's advice to Milwaukee County citizens to arm themselves with firearms instead of immediately calling the police, fired over 40 rounds into a man dressed as Santa Claus, supposedly hired by his parents for the family's annual Christmas party. The story is not without controversy, however, as the infant, who claims he only acted in self-defense, will soon be going to trial on murder charges, a trial that is viewed by Santa impersonator rights groups as part of a larger conversation about growing discrimination of the North Pole denizen across the country. The infant was napping and could not be reached immediately for comment. Well, the ongoing battle to begin construction of the downtown slip and slide transit project was met with further delays today after it failed once again to attain county board approval. The slip and slide is designed to run through 2 to 3 lines across several city blocks, and proponents say it will provide a safe and cost-effective method of transportation to every man, woman, and mutant in the city. The county board's rejection, however, noted that the project's goal of using butter as a lubricant for the transit lines will prove problematic, especially in light of the so-called bovine boycotts in pastures across the state, in which dairy cows are demanding more comprehensive health care packages from farmers. The board noted that the project's designers might want to look into earwax in the meantime. Well, Shorewood High School's newest theatrical production is accumulating widespread critical and public acclaim tonight. The school's drama program is staging a dramatization of Werner Herzog's 2005 documentary Grizzly Man, which tells the story of wild grizzly bear enthusiast and eventual grizzly bear food Timothy Treadwell. The play is being praised particularly for its realism, due to the fact that a live grizzly bear is brought on stage to actually devour the student actor who plays Treadwell each performance. Critics note that, while front row ticket holders should bring raincoats for the messy bits, the play demonstrates a dedication to the craft of the stage that is rare among most high school productions. Well, there's a new exhibition at the Milwaukee Art Museum that'll be running through the end of the month, which focuses on one of the world's finest creative minds. Rather than explain it all to you at home, we obtained special permission to air exclusive footage from one of the works being displayed. So please enjoy this extraordinary piece entitled Untitled number 72.6B.
My name is Chase Parker. I just ate a pizza.
Well, the escalating violence in Chicago continues tonight after a vicious outbreak between two rival gangs at the Pitchfork Music Festival occurred near the city's downtown area earlier today. The gangs, called the 8.7s and the 8.9s respectively, apparently formed last year to protest Pitchfork's score of 8.8 on the then new War on Drugs album Lost in the Dream. The two collectives' disagreements over whether Pitchfork's evaluation should be a tenth of a point higher or lower reached new heights today during the band Modest Mouse's live set. Frontman Isaac Brock reportedly told the members involved in the confrontation repeatedly to, quote, "sit down or just get out," before the band had to be escorted off stage by security for their own safety. For many, however, this is a familiar sight. Former gang members easily recalled the violence that erupted at the same festival during the Alan Parsons Project reissue days between the 9.2s and the 9.4s. Well, a disturbing new video game has parent groups outraged tonight after a child in Sheboygan says that the game convinced him to pursue a PhD in medieval history. The game, entitled Land That Diploma Berkeley, is part of a series of games in which the player controls a protagonist as he or she wanders around college towns and completes a series of missions in order to obtain a postgraduate humanities degree. The parents of the Sheboygan child are being condemned by many who view the game as a facilitator of extremely dangerous behavior. The parent-led watchdog group, Parents for the Elimination of Dangerous Occupations, or PEDO, in a statement tonight, says that the video game is encouraging their child to enter, quote, the frivolous and deadly realm of postgraduate studies. While there have been reports that the child's parents have been considering operant conditioning, the child still has plans to pursue this harmful endeavor. Well, coming up after the break, new school janitor reminds one child of tenure in circus. Heroic passengers save flight from Middle Eastern pilot, and Microsoft Word paperclip found dead in Hampton's home. That and more when we come back to Newscast.
Ugh. This dog is so boring. I mean, just look at it. It's too cute to do anything fun with.
Yeah, if only there was some pet with no brain that we could just abuse the hell out of.
Well, you're in luck.
Oh my god. Where did you come from?
Don't worry about it.
And why are we in luck?
What if I told you that there was a pet, that you could do anything that you want with it, and it would only cost you your whole life in debt?
That sounds horrible. Who would ever want to do that?
Depends what we're talking about. Is it some sort of cyborg?
No. Even better, it is a pet sock.
Aw, it's adorable.
It's just a stupid sock.
But think of all the stuff you can do with the sock. You can
dress it up, make a sandwich, put it in the microwave, DJ your next party.
You literally can't do any of that with that sock.
But you can dress it up and other things with your imagination.
And it sounds way better than this stupid dog.
And think of all the money you'll save not having to buy pet products like food, water, shampoo, forks, knives, mittens, sweaters, or painkillers.
I could go in my room right now and get any old sock. It is literally that easy.
But how much does it cost in total?
Are you seriously considering this?
This sock will only cost you $500,000.
It's just a sock!
Well, if you order now, not only will we give you the pet sock, we'll give you 3 additional socks.
What can you do with 4 socks that you can't do with 1?
What a handsome question. Well, there's...
I wasn't really looking for an answer.
You can start a sock band. Start a protest. Play a game of poker. Make 4 sandwiches.
I'll take 5.
What is wrong with you?
Warning, the pet sock is just a sock. It cannot do any of the things stated in this ad. Do not eat the pet sock. Do not leave the pet sock outside too long. Do not stare at the pet sock. Common side effects to doing any of those are death. Order now!
Welcome back to Newscast. I'm the very model of a modern Major Ham Beast. In national news tonight, disgruntled protesters burned an effigy of an effigy of an effigy today in downtown Los Angeles to show their disapproval of the protesters protesting original protesters that first appeared there a few months ago. The protesters of the protesters of the protesters began to burn an effigy of the effigy that was in protest of the first effigy, all in order to show their disapproval of how the protesters of the protesters so flippantly disobeyed protester conduct. They articulated this frustration in a statement released today, which says, quote, "When the pawn hits the conflicts, he thinks like a king what he knows, throws the blows when he goes to the fight, and he'll win the whole thing, for he enters the ring. There's nobody to batter when your mind is your might. So when you go solo, you hold your own hand and remember that depth is the greatest of heights. And if you know where you stand, then you know where to land. And if you fall, it won't matter because you'll know that you're right." Well, a crisis in space tonight. NASA reported today that they successfully thwarted a suicide attempt by the Mars Curiosity rover. The rover, which NASA said obtained information that it was going to be left on the desolate planet once its battery died out, experienced what the agency is calling, quote, "abject terror today," which culminated in an attempt to smash itself with a Martian rock. The rover is being monitored 24/7 and is expected to recover, but NASA says that it is beginning to transmit existential musings regarding its inevitable death, rather than more data on carbon molecules, a problem which NASA says will not be too significant as long as the rover cannot access Friedrich Nietzsche threads on Reddit. Well, Newscast brings you some unfortunate news tonight. Phoenix Cuomo, our longtime colleague and the man onto whom we projected all of our Freudian anxieties, has died. He was engaged in combat with Muslims as part of the nationwide war on terrorism led by media personnel from all facets of the journalism business. Despite his dedication to the prosperity of broadcast news that he displayed so heroically while fighting in the war, he died after being mauled to death by a flock of wild geese near his home just minutes after his final broadcast for this program. Police are unsure whether the flock of geese's act is connected to increasing Gander gang violence or if the act was purely a matter of time and place. Here's a picture released by authorities tonight of the prime suspect in the killing. So please, if you have any information on these geese or their whereabouts, contact your local police department as soon as possible. And for a final departing word to our dear colleague, maybe in hell you'll know why using the toilet paper rolls in the office refrigerator that have our names on them was wrong. We needed to eat too, Phoenix. Well, coming up after the break, parents arrested after using round-faced child for frisbee game. Woman spends $1.2 million on plastic surgery to look like Garrison Keillor. And man made of mayonnaise claims excessive grabbing by TSA agent. See you after the break.
I'm going to kill you. Until you're dead. Once I put an end to your life, there will be no stopping me.
I believe what we're dealing with here is some kind of ghost.
Mother of God.
This could wipe the whole United States off the map.
Who is this?
I've been training for this day my whole life. I'm going to fight this ghost.
Let them fight.
Come into my city, steal my big toe, and you expect to come out of this alive?
You're messing with the supernatural, son. There is no honor.
The city won't burn. When all is said and done, I will become a god.
Welcome back. I'm whatever's left of Bruce Jenner's masculinity. A remarkable story tonight from the Milwaukee County Zoo. Police say that Charlie the hippopotamus is responsible for saving a small child that accidentally fell into the animal's enclosure. The animal, named after journalist Charlie Rose due to its fondness for his PBS interview program of the same name, asked the child to take a seat at the news desk in its pen. It subsequently began to question him about political instability in Azerbaijan and the art of sculptor Richard Serra. Right after the child gave his opinion on Russian geopolitical relations with Uzbekistan, however, authorities were able to lift him to safety, despite the animal's resentment over not being able to finally obtain an audition tape to send into 60 Minutes. While newly leaked campaign documents pertaining to Governor Scott Walker's recently successful bid for his second term are outraging some Wisconsin voters tonight. The reports detail how Walker would secretly frequent Hot Topic retail stores across the state late at night during his campaign, dressed in a Joy Division t-shirt and having styled his makeup and hair in a manner similar to Susie Sue. According to security camera footage obtained in the report, Walker would stand out back by the store's dumpsters and, while smoking Marlboros and discussing how Wisconsin voters, quote, will never understand him, exchange merchandise of bands that only your snot-brained grandson has heard of. Walker has since come forward to apologize for his indiscretion that appears in the report, saying that the Hot Topic visits consisted of, quote, a series of misguided and immature judgments that I promise never to repeat again. The report comes in the wake of Representative Gwen Moore being embroiled in a similar scandal in which she allegedly participated in Oprah Winfrey's now infamous satanic summoning ritual back in May. Well, in sports news tonight, TMZ reported today that Aaron Rodgers and longtime partner David Gruber are officially going to announce their separation later this week. According to the TMZ report, the couple's turbulent period began after Rodgers refused to acknowledge Gruber's new lifestyle as a juggalo, a self-proclaimed fan of the horrorcore rap group The Insane Clown Posse. The disagreement apparently culminated after Gruber attended the group's sweaty and sexually pathetic annual gathering known as the Dark Carnival. While there, he developed his abrasive juggalo persona known as Crystal Fingered Killa after his baptismal ritual in a pool of orange-flavored Faygo and serpent's blood. The report indicates that things have gotten so bad that Rodgers has even kicked Gruber out of the couple's bed, forcing him to sleep in their filing cabinets instead. When asked about the separation on his weekly radio show, Rodgers said, quote, I feel great. It's kind of like that bizarre euphoria you get immediately after a thorough vomit. Well, more art news now. A Milwaukee-based performance artist known as Lil Puddin' is staging his first outdoor performance series in over 5 years. The eccentric and sour-smelling creator has perhaps garnered the most acclaim for his intricately realistic and detailed portraits that utilize nothing but snow and the occasional errant bodily fluid. Entertainment reporter Septimus Bast has what many would hesitate to call a report.
That's right, we're here at the first exhibition for a local Milwaukee artist in over 5 years. The artist Little Puddin' is known for his hyper-realistic depictions of people and places from around the world. His unorthodox method that he calls the puddin' roll, in which he flails artistically across the ground like a limbless dog, prevented him from making any art for the past several years. This was due in part to a freak monkey bars accident that left him in a lengthy coma. However, he is back in full form for today's event, and we caught up with the artist earlier today.
A lot of people compared my art to a child in kindergarten, especially one that's about to piss himself. But I think I'm more like Picasso or Michelangelo, or a circus clown that has a criminal past. My first piece is a portrait of Pat Sajak from the Wheel of Fortune, and my second piece is a recreation of the Sistine Chapel.
Okay, now we're going to see the legendary puddin' roll from Lil Puddin' himself. He's going to teach us how to do it here. Why don't you show us first a demonstration of how you do your legendary technique there.
All right, here's how you do this.
Okay. Okay, and he's on the ground here. And, okay, he's on, and he's beautiful, beautiful. Okay, okay. Now, if you don't mind, from that little demonstration there, I'm going to try it myself here. So, let's for the viewers here, let me get on the ground, and now let me know if you have any tips for me here while I roll around. Okay. Oh, my.
Cut! Well, a follow-up now to the story we've just aired. The prayer vigil for Septimus, who remains in dire medical straits tonight, will be held downtown next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. We do have an update from the hospital tonight on our friend whom we share many ambivalent feelings for. In a statement, they say, quote, "Mr. Bast's prognosis is laughably poor at this point. Making a full recovery is more unlikely than losing a football game with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter while leading by 12 points. It would simply never happen." Well, a final and regrettable story tonight. As a veteran in the news business and as your news anchor each night, I feel that there is something I must get off my chest. For several years, I've been telling my friends, my colleagues, talk show hosts, my pet goldfish, my mother's corpse stored in my freezer, and all of you, something that is simply not true. After 9/11 occurred, I began to report that I was commissioned by then President George W. Bush to command U.S. troops in the fight against Cthulhu, the ancient tentacle-faced deity that I claimed had awoken from its 10,000-year slumber to ravage the planet and conquer the puny human race once and for all. I claimed that Zeus had visited me in a dream and bestowed upon me a golden AK-47 that would be the only weapon capable of slaying this monstrosity. After that, I told everyone that I ascended to Cthulhu's throne in his netherworld, dimension through the massive rift in the sky, had a monumental battle with the beast, and triumphantly slayed him once and for all. However, it is with much chagrin tonight that I report to you that I misremembered the incident. I was not the one who slayed Cthulhu. That was Tom Brokaw. Well, that's it for Newscast. Keep your head in the toilet and keep reaching for the Poison Control Center number. Good night.